Alright guys, I am back from The Flash. Alright, so I'm back from seeing The Flash now, and I am super excited to talk about it. But if you haven't seen the film, come back to this video, because this is going to be a spoiler video. So, if you don't want to see spoilers or hear about them, go and see The Flash and come back. Alright, so going on this film, this was my most anticipated film of the year, and it delivered. So the story in The Flash is about the Flash traveling back in time to prevent his mother's death, but in doing so, he alters the future and gets trapped in a reality where General Zod has returned, threatening annihilation, and he needs the help of an older Batman to help rescue Supergirl, save the Earth so he can return to his own reality. So now let's go over the characters in this film. You get Barry Allen, 1 and 2, our Barry, and the Barry from the alternate universe. And I must say, despite Ezra Miller's controversies and all the stuff he's done, with Barry 1 and 2, he killed it. This was his best acting as Barry Allen as the Flash in any of the films. And I'm glad it was, because this is a Flash film through and through. Even though the trailers may seem like it's Batman and Flash, or just mainly more Batman, it's really just the Flash. Now you also get Ben Affleck's Batman in this movie, which is pretty nice. He's not in it for long, but when he is in it, he did a pretty good job. It's sad to see him gone, but even though this is his final performance, he went out with a bang. And you also get the return of Michael Keaton's Batman in this movie, and man, he did not disappoint. If you loved him in '89 and Returns, you're gonna love him in this one, that's for sure. You also get Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman in this. If she's only in here for 20 seconds maximum, but I didn't suspect her to show up at all in the movie. Glad she did, because it really made the first 15 minutes of this film feel like a Justice League Unlimited TV show episode, and I'm really happy about that, because that is something I grew up with. And she's as good as ever in this film as she was in previous films. You also get the return of Michael Shannon's General Zod. He's still as threatening as he is in this film as he was in 2013's Man of Steel when I saw him in the theaters. And I just love seeing him back, because he was such a great villain then, and he's still a great villain now. Even though he's not in it and he didn't impact the movie too much, it was just still great seeing him on screen again. Then we also have Sasha Calle's Supergirl, and man, let me tell you, she's not in this for long. And it's kind of a shame she isn't, because she stole every scene she was in. And I hope they recast her for other films in the future, because it would be a shame if they did. And then you also have the second villain, Dark Flash. Now, Dark Flash turns out to be Barry 2 in this film, years later down the line after trying to fix what happens in the third act. We'll get to that in a bit. He was a pretty scary villain, to be honest with you, and he wasn't in for long, and he kind of died early, which I'm kind of sad, because I would like to see him and Barry 1 fight, but it was pretty obvious that our Barry would not be able to take down this villain no matter how much he tried, because he was just way more experienced. Now onto the action in this film. The action in this film is really good, and it's the best action DCU in my opinion. And I just really loved it. From seeing Barry, our Barry, running from Central City to Gotham City to help out Batman, I think that was really well done with the speed effects and him running on water and through tunnels, and it was just really cool to see that, and him even saving these babies falling out of a hospital, which was pretty cool to see in slow motion, and he has to save them all. And some of the action with Flash at the end of the film, and I thought that was really cool. Now moving on to the Batman action in this film, I thought Ben's action was pretty good, but for me personally, Michael Keaton's Batman's action stole the damn show. From when he's fighting some Russian soldiers in a Russian base while they're trying to save Supergirl, to even the third act. Him just punching and kicking all the enemies and using his gadgets and whipping them around with his bat grapple and batarangs, which is amazing to see. And Keaton is just so badass in this film, and I never thought in my life I would see Batman fighting a Kryptonian, Michael Keaton's Batman. Now, he does die to that Kryptonian because obviously he doesn't have kryptonite. And moving on to Sasha Calle's Supergirl action, she killed it. I absolutely loved her. She was amazing. Her action with her fighting Zod, so awesome to see Zod and her fighting back. And that brings us over to the emotion in this film. It was really hard to see Batman and Sasha Calle die and Zod actually win, and seeing the villains win for once. So no matter how much time he turns back time, every single time Batman and Supergirl always die. And then it gets to the origin of Dark Flash, and that's how Barry 2 ended up becoming Dark Flash. And it's sad to see our Barry knowing that he'll have to turn back time one more time and just let his mother die instead of letting her live. And now getting into the CGI of this film, the CGI was absolute trash. I'm gonna be honest with you. At times it was so trash, but other times it was good. But most of the time it was pretty bad, especially in the first 15 minutes where Flash is trying to save the babies from falling out of the hospital. They look so rubbery and plastic and like claymation. It was like really hilarious, and it made me laugh out loud, and it kind of took me out of the film just for a bit, but not much at all, because I'm mainly there for the story. But the CGI is pretty horrendous in this film, especially when you look at how much they spent on this film. Getting onto the music in this film, the music in this film is really good. Starting off with Batman, Danny Elfman's theme returns with Michael Keaton's Batman, and it is as amazing as it is in this film as it ever was. Especially the music with Flash, running from Central City to Gotham City. There's some great music there. Of course, Wonder Woman's theme plays in this movie when she shows up, so that was pretty good. Now getting onto the comedy in this film, it's basically comedy from start to finish, and there's a lot, and personally it stuck the landing for me. There was a lot of funny jokes, especially I found funny Flash putting a baby in a microwave, because it was like not suspected. I didn't think I would see that. Me and my brother died laughing during that scene. There were many other scenes with even them mentioning Back to the Future. That was pretty funny, because the actor Michael J. Fox in that universe wasn't the actor for Back to the Future. It was actually Eric Schultz in this universe, which was pretty funny and he was supposed to be the original actor for it, and they shot some scenes for that movie, but then they scrapped that and Michael J. Fox became Marty McFly. Now moving on to the cameos in this film, there weren't a lot, but they were pretty cool, especially when there were ones I did not expect to see at all. Now the cameos in this film didn't look good at all, in my opinion, and that's due to the CGI. For our first cameo here, we get George Reeves' Superman, then we get a version of Jay Garrick's The Flash, which is the first Flash. Then we move on to Adam West Batman, he shows up. And then we get Christopher Reeve's Superman beside Helen Slater's Supergirl, something I thought I would never see. But then we get on to the next cameo, which is probably the biggest one in the movie and the best in my opinion, and one I thought I would never see. We get Nicolas Cage as Flash. Yes, that is right. Crazy to see him on the movie screen, and he's fighting a giant spider like he was supposed to in the original movie they planned. So that was pretty cool, and the spider was creepy, and seeing him just kill the giant spider was insane. Also, there is a cameo with George Clooney at the end of the film. Now moving on to my final thoughts about the film, The Flash is an absolute blast overall. It's not the best comic book movie since The Dark Knight, like some said it was, but it's a really great superhero film, and personally, it's my favorite film of the DCEU and all the movies they have released. Shocking, because it is the last film in the DCEU. With a little bit of bad CGI in this film and an anticlimactic villain at the end of the third act in this film, The Flash is still a great time, and the positives outweigh the negatives tenfold. So I'm going to give The Flash at 8.5 out of 10. So that's going to be it for my review of The Flash, everyone. I hope you enjoyed it. Tell me what you thought below of The Flash, and I'll catch you next time.